Hello everyone, my name is Amy. I'm the Black Cat Stitcher here on YouTube and on Instagram, and I'm here back after my mid-year WIP parade, and I've noticed that I've gotten quite a few new follower or subscribers, and I welcome you all, new and old. And yeah, thank you for joining me here on my Flosstube adventure. This one, unfortunately, is probably going to be a little bit of a shorter one. I was generally a monogamous stitcher in the month of September. I was working mostly on my mom's gift project, and I took a short break towards the end of September to work on a WIP goal for the month of October. Excuse me. But anyway, before we get to showing off the projects, I will like to thank the commenters in my last video. I had a lot of questions and, asked for opinions on a lot of things, and I don't know why my voice is like this right now, but I'm a little husky, but that's okay. I'd like to thank the commenters. First of all, the question I had about better glow-in-the-darks or threads. I watched a video that somebody suggested, and I think what I'm planning on doing when I get to the part of my haunted welcome that is glow-in-the-dark threads is to use what I have left of my single, skein of the glow-in-the-dark DMC, and then switch to silky glow-in-the-dark. And yes, go from there. This will be my first time trying sulky, that's how you say it, I think. But I've seen a lot of other people who I watch on Flosstube using it and raving about it, so. And it comes in a huge spool, so I'll probably, never have to buy glow-in-the-dark thread ever again, because A, I don't use it that often, and B, there's a lot of it. So, also, one of the commenters in my previous video suggested that I go look at pictures of Queen Nefertiti's tomb to get some color inspiration for my Long Dong sampler, to pick another color to go with the ones that I've already selected. And in the tomb, I'll insert pictures and stuff. I saw one that was, I think, a pillar of some sort that had like this deep emerald green. Now the green that I have on it already is more of a, a lighter green. So I think I'm going to go with a deep emerald green as my color selection. I haven't bought it yet, but probably by the time my next video comes around, I'll have it and I'll show you what my final selection is. Also, I guess I'm going to throw out another question to y'all, because I know one of the commenters from my previous video was looking for the pattern that I had finished, which was my snake pattern by Unique Pattern Lovers. I'll insert a picture here of that. They had clicked on my link, and the Etsy store that I had gotten it from was closed. I went on the Instagram and searched Unique Pattern Lovers, and their Instagram, didn't have a link tree or anything that would send me to another website besides Etsy. So if anybody knows anything about if the designer of my snake pattern, Unique Pattern Lovers on Etsy, has created another website, or if there's another place where you can purchase their patterns, comment down below and I'll relay that information in my next video. But yeah, I think that's that's all I have for going over comments. And again, thank you for all of the comments, and it made me feel, really happy that a lot of people were enjoying my whips, and that my community here on YouTube is growing. So thank you for subscribing and welcome. All right, now we're gonna get into the meat of the video. I only have 2 projects that are stitching to show you, and I also have knitting to show you. My first project, gosh, it fell over. My first project is my mom's gift. So mom, get lost. No, I'm kidding. You can step away for a moment. I'm going to show your project. This is what it's going to look like. This is a set of patterns by Mary Golay, or based off of illustrations by Mary Golay by Whoopie Cat on Etsy. And I am doing the one in the top left corner, the red iris, for my mom. And here is a photograph of what it looked like the last time I showed it on my whip parade. And here is where we're at now. So I finished filling in the flower. I moved the Q-snap over and finished the border on this side, or wait, this side. And then I moved it down and started working on, well, first I finished my parked threads that I had on the bottom. And then I did the 310, and then I started on some of the colors, filling in the, what's it called, the flower, and a green filling in the stem over here. But yeah, I've made a lot of progress on this project, and I was basically monogamous with this project during the month of September. However, on, gosh, what day was it? It was, I think, the 27th. That's the day that the whip code numbers were called. I was starting to feel a little restless and I needed to switch projects. So I used the opportunity that WhipGo provided and started working on one of the, called numbers. And that was this project. Whoops, the pattern is blocking the picture. There we go. This is part of the Alley Cats series from Mill Hill, and it's called Ashes. And here's a photo of what it looked like before I started. My WhipGo goal, and here is where I finished. I finished the square here in the corner, and then I outlined the body of the cat and started filling it in. And then once I reached my 1,000 stitches, I finished the thread that I had, and started working on his tail with that thread. And then I decided also to do the beading. You can tell that I did the beading on the corner. However, I don't know why or how I can fix it, but my beading, like, I finished the 2 beads up here in the corner, or I guess in this corner, but they fell off. And I ended my thread by, sliding it underneath the stitches. Maybe I cut it too short, and it worked itself loose, and the 2 buttons there at the top fell off. But yeah, I using Wonder Invisible thread that I bought on 123 Stitch. It's like fishing line, honestly. But I mean, it's not too bad. Maybe because this is more of a plasticky, slippery substance, that's why it's not staying. Maybe I should start knotting it on the back instead of sliding it under my stitches, so that it doesn't break itself loose, but I'll have to redo the 2 beads that fell off. But that is all I had for stitching. The other whip goal that I had, besides doing 1,000 stitches on my small project, which is the one I just showed you, was a finish on my blue seasonal tree, which I finished in a previous video already. Actually, back in December or January of this year is when I showed you, because I brought that particular project home with me for Christmas because it didn't have very many colors, and it was pretty close to a finish anyways. So I finished that over Christmas break when I was visiting with my family. So I was, you know, able to officially mark that off as complete on my whip go. And then I took back out my knitting. For those of you who've been here for a while, you know that I started learning or teaching myself how to knit because I saw other Flosstubers that I enjoyed watching knitting projects, and I wanted to learn. So I got a pattern for a blanket. Gosh, I forgot the name of it. I think it's the rock and roll blanket. Let me see if I can find the pattern. One second. Yes. Alrighty, I have my knitting bag. This is by Zoe Designs Limited on Etsy. And this is where I'm keeping all of my yarn skeins. But I think I also put the pattern in here. Or not, actually. I didn't. But we're gonna go with the fact that it's the rock and roll blanket. And it's by this company called Sheep Jez or something like that. I cannot pronounce it, but it came as like a packet or a kit. Basically, I got all the yarn and all of the pattern and the needles that I needed to complete the project when I bought this kit. Bag sold separately. I bought it because I knew that once I got, you know, progress on this knitting project, that I'd need like something to stuff the long blanket in. But anyway, when I last left this project off, I had completed 3 stripes and I had barely started on the 4th. And when I started on the 4th, I realized that I hadn't been, well, I learned this one actually recently, but there is a right side and a wrong side when you're knitting. And the right side, you know, you can't see, you know, the transition between colors on your knitting project. And I was switching back and forth essentially. And when I realized that when I had started my 4th stripe, I was like, well, dang, I don't know what I did wrong and I don't know how to fix it. So yeah, I just set it aside and I was like, maybe I'll pick this up later. Besides, you know, when I'm comparing the 2 crafts, I prefer stitching compared to knitting, mostly because I'm glacier slow when I'm knitting. But if I practice, I will get faster. But I put it aside and it languished for months and months and months. And when I was starting to get a little bored with my monogamy on my stitching project for my mom that I was working on, I was like, hey, maybe I should try and figure out what I did wrong with my knitting and maybe start over so that, you know, I can do it correctly this time. So I unraveled what I had and I started over with my knitting project. And here is where gosh, it's all tangled. One second. I needed to prepare this actually, probably, because I had it stuffed in the bag and it got wrapped, the ball of yarn got wrapped around my project. Anyway, I am done with the first stripe. This is, I'm not going to be able to pull it apart because I'm like right in the middle of a row here. And yeah, anywho's. And then I started on the second color, which is this gray color. But yeah, that is my project. I'm still trying to untangle it here. And yeah, that's where I'm at. And I'm going to work some more on this today. And, you know, once I get to my third stripe, I will see if I have figured out the right side, wrong side thing. And if I'm, you know, not going to, because I mean, I just added this stripe, so obviously there's only one transition thus far, right here. Yeah, we'll see. I'm going to work on this today, and I'm going to plan on, I guess, catching up to where I was, finish the third and start the fourth stripe, before I switch back to cross stitch. And then I don't know, I think I'm gonna plan on, in order to keep on this, I'm going to plan to add an additional monthly goal, I guess, for myself, to do one stripe per month at least, so that, you know, I don't let it languish like I did before. Obviously, there was a reason last time why I set it aside for so long. But like I said, if I'm looking at, you know, either craft and I had to choose my favorite, it would be cross stitching. So this one may be put by the wayside just simply because I prefer to cross stitch. But I do like knitting. Don't get me wrong, it's just not my preferred craft, I suppose. But anyway, that is what I did this month. And plans, I already talked about what I plan to do with my knitting. Once I catch back up to where I was, I'm going to set this aside, because, well, actually, I'll probably finish the fourth stripe, and that will be my month of October stripe. And that just to start my monthly stripe completion project. And then I'll pick back up my mom's present and continue stitching on that until November. November, my mom is visiting me for Thanksgiving, so I'll have to hide that away, and it won't be my focus project anymore. So I made a tiny decisions wheel on my phone to decide what my focus project for the month of November will be. But I will spin that when I make my next video. Haul, I don't have any. I do have, I guess, something that's going to arrive here tomorrow, according to the USPS tracking system, that I'm pretty excited to share with you next time. I had asked or talked to my mom about it and asked, you know, hey, can you and the relatives, you know, pull some money together and get me a Christmas gift of a Lowry stand? And my mom just straight up transferred the money to my account and said she'd deal with the, I guess, splitting of funds at a later date with the rest of the relatives, and said Merry Christmas, because you're not getting another present when it's actually Christmas. So I ordered a Lowry stand, and it's on its way. So I ordered one with the extra long bar, because I have a fat arm on my couch. But I'm really excited about that because, you know, although I love cross-stitching, I've started to get a little bit of, I guess, pain in my elbow because of the constant motion. So hopefully, you know, being able to two-hand stitch with the Lowry stand will, I guess, or give me a longer time to stitch before, like during the weekends when I basically stitch all day, essentially, except for, you know, doing chores and stuff. But hopefully I'll lessen the pain in my elbow that I've been getting, and it'll be a little bit more comfortable for me. So that is that. And now on to the reading portion of my Flosstubes. I had book club back in September, and in September is our first club meeting back after spring break or summer break. We take like 3 months off for summer because, you know, a lot of the people in book club, you know, are moms, and, you know, people are going on summer vacations and whatnot, and so we just take the couple months off over the summer. And September we come back together and we talk about the last book, I guess, that we read over the 3 months of summer, and then we come up with another list to like start the year over again. So there's a new list, and the first one on the list was The Marriage Portrait by, I will insert the author's name here because I didn't write it down, and I've promised to not get the author's name wrong. But I've read, I think, the first 3 chapters so far, and I guess they're just basically setting up the character and, you know, the story. Basically, this is set in, I guess, medieval Italy, around the time where I think the Medici family would have been alive, and she is the daughter of, I guess, a very wealthy landowner or land baron or whatever. I'm not exactly sure what that's called in Italian, in the Italian country. Rather, I mean, in England it would have been like a lord or a lady or a duke or something like that. But I don't know what their title is, I suppose, in Italy. But she basically is married to another wealthy man, and the story starts out where she's speculating that she thinks her husband is going to kill her. And then it flashbacks to her childhood, and I'm guessing, you know, we're going to get to know how she ended up married to this guy and how she came to think that her husband is going to kill her. So, yeah, that's where it's at the moment. And I don't know, I think this book is made, like, based off of maybe true fiction, I guess. There's this portrait that's on the cover of the book. I'll insert the cover here. That's a real portrait of a medieval Italian woman. And I think the person who suggested this book for book club said that this woman also died mysteriously, and this book is kind of the fictionalized version of what they think happened to her. So I don't know if that's true or not. There wasn't like a author's note at the beginning of the book that, you know, said this is based on rumors about what happened to this woman, this real person. So I don't know if that's true or not, but it would be kind of interesting if it was, you know, a fictionalized version of what, you know, some medieval drama. That would be fun. Anyway, I will let you know next month how the book ends up and how I like it. You know, like I said, I've only read a couple of chapters, and it's setting up the story and setting up the character, and it hasn't gotten to the juicy part yet. But that is all I have for reading. Yeah. Again, I'd like to thank everybody who is newly subscribed and welcome you to my community here on Flosstube. I really appreciate all the comments that I got in my previous video. They really helped me solve some of my problems and my musings about, you know, what I'm going to do with some of my projects going forward. And yeah, that is all I have for today. Have a good rest of the weekend. Yes, sorry I'm late. I went out for drinks yesterday and I didn't want to do a video when I was slightly inebriated. So, I didn't post my video last night like I usually do. Anyway, have a good rest of your weekend. I will certainly enjoy mine. And bye.